Hey, welcome back. Gary Brown Forging on. As you see, rotator cuff surgery, so I definitely can't do any hammering. I can't even hardly pick up anything with this hand. Still in the brace. But one thing I thought I could do is talk about beginning hammer technique, because we get a lot of guys in the Blacksmith Forge where our club or guild, whatever you want to call it, where I took lessons, my green coal class, over 4 years ago, and we get young guys in there now that want to learn, and older guys too, but we haven't done very little hammering in their lives, and so they have horrible aim, technique, everything. So especially parents will bring in their 12, 13, 14-year-olds, sometimes they're 10-year-olds. At our club, we just made a rule, nobody under 14 now, but people will bring their kids in and be like, we want to learn blacksmithing, and they'll put them down on, come in there and they'll start heating up because they watched Forge and Fire or something, and then they can't even hit the metal on the thing. They have no control, no aim, no nothing. And a lot of times some of our main instructors will actually send them home and tell them to drive nails, hundreds and hundreds of nails, until they can finally get some aim technique. But there's a little more to it than that. So since I can't do anything right-handed and I can't hit the broadside of the bar with my left hand, I figured it might be a good way to show beginning technique if I teach myself how to left-handed hammer. So it's either going to be a huge success or a huge fail, then I'm going to end up hitting myself in the knee or something. Okay, so I'm going to set this up. I have just an old scrap piece of 2x4 I'm going to set on my anvil. The thing is, you want it the right height. Your anvil wants to be knuckle height, standing straight up, so that when you come down, your hammer's there. So the more you stack up, the harder it is. You end up doing like this. So you don't want that. So if you're getting your kids or you're an adult and you're trying to learn, make sure you get your work area close to knuckle high with your arm straight down to your side. And then what we're going to do is work on some stuff. But I'm going to have to wire this to my anvil just because I can't hold it. So it's got to be stationary while I'm beating on it, knocking it around. So I'll be right back. Hey. All right, so I think I got everything set up now. So the things you want to look out, you want to start with, especially if you're trying to do it and you've never done any kind of hammering before, or you're trying to get your kids involved or something like that. Start off with a hammer. It's not too heavy. I start off with a ball peen like this. It was probably 28 or 32 ounce, somewhere in that ballpark, depending on how strong you are. And this is just as good. And I did this one for the first few months of my green coal class before I went and bought this one. But I tried different ones at the shop, and before I got it. Now this one's about 2.2 pounds. So if you're, a teenager or you're not very strong starting out with, you're better off having control than weight. If you keep missing, you're not going to do much good. So you can get a hammer like this. Also these engineering hammers. This is about a 1.5 pound. And took it over to another blacksmith, had a belt sander, and he grounded this side rounding and this side flat. Well, they were both flat to begin with, but he just smoothed it off. It's pretty beat up now, so you can I don't know if you can see that or not. But I need to reface it. But if you're just starting out, and before you go doing your first one, just start off with a claw hammer to practice. If you got one of these, start off with this. If you don't, start off with a claw hammer. Now this is a little bit bigger one. This is a smaller one. Every hammer's got different weights to them, different sizes. So basically, what I'll do is I'll start off with a ball peen. And let's see if I can adjust this. Now, this is going to be hard for me because I'm trying to do it left-handed and I've never done it. Now, when you hold your hammer, you're lightly holding it. It's flopping in your hand, okay? You just have just enough grip to let it flip up, flip down, but in control. So when you hit, it's in control. But you're letting it flop. That's kind of an over-exaggeration, but then you add that, your elbow down. But if you do everything with your elbow down, you're not going to get any power. Then you come up and down. You don't want out here. You don't want if you get your kid or something out on the workbench and you got a workbench that's up this high and you tell them to start nailing and they're doing this. That's no good. You want like I said earlier, you want your anvil or whatever you're hitting on about your knuckle height. And because you got to practice getting your strokes right. And when you get strokes right, you're going to watch some different things. I'm going to move this down so you can just see the wood and what you're going to be looking for when you're hitting on wood to practice with. So these are some things you want to work on to build up your skill set. So, like I said, I'll start off with this one, and we can just look at how the things work. And I am really bad with my left hand, so this is going to be interesting. Be right there. Okay. So hopefully, I'm going to be too far out of whack. Let me expand that out just a little bit. There we go. Okay. So like I said, this is my left hand, so it's going to be interesting. So we want to hit so that we're flat, just like that. So it's perfectly flat. And you're going to look at the dent you're looking at the dents you put in the wood. So I'm going to come up with elbow, shoulder, and hit. And I don't know if that's even going to show up or not. Let's take a look here. But if you can't hardly see it, it's dented more back here. There's actually a lip here, and it's smooth out here. So I've hit it in this orientation than this. So you want to keep practicing that. Hitting it to where it's coming down flat. Now you see, that last one I hit like, I'll over exaggerate. I hit like this. Some of these, I'm hitting like this a lot. So I need to adjust. That's fairly flat. And you can get more if you use a claw hammer. You can really over exaggerate it. And it should, because it's not covered as much surface area, so it's going to put more of a dent. I'm all over the place. So I'm going to grab the soapstone. So I'm going to give myself a target. This ain't going to show up. Soapstone is not going to show up very well, but it'll work. My left hand. Man, I'm in here, and I'm aiming there. So it's going to take me a while. My wiring isn't holding up very well, but the other thing you need to do is nails. I don't know if I can do this with my bad hand. And I can't drive them in very far because I want them to drive into my anvil. Practice full swings. I missed. See, missed it 3 times. I see, then I hit those, but I was only coming up part way. Okay, trying to get everything in the picture. Probably not going to. Maybe the nails will show up there. I just cut my head off, which is probably a good thing. So when I was hitting it, I was just doing this. Put another nail in. See, I'm doing like that, which because I'm looking for precision, which is bad, you know, because I want to forward. So I want this to come, and I missed. I mean, I hit here, I hit there. So I can tell right now, me doing this left-handed is going to take a while. But what I want to do, and what you need to do, is keep practicing. So I'm going to keep hitting this. Go over to, also go over to Christ Center Ironworks, his page. He's got some stuff for accuracy, which is pretty helpful, and he's got some stuff for beginning, where he's helping his wife do some hammering. But before you go, oh, you know, I watched this show, I want to go be a blacksmith. Get your hammering down. Just get out there with a board and a hammer if you got it. And if you don't go buy a, you know, some kind of a, this is your typical blacksmith hammer. Just don't go picking this, you know, one of these up for your kid. That's, you know, 2 pounds. This here one is 2 pounds. So this one's 2 pounds. Like I said, my other one, my everyday one's 2.2. It's 1,000 grams. It's a 2.2. It's a Swedish style. I think that's a German style. There's French styles. That's just all personal preference. So, well, before you go buying them a 2 pound hammer, and they're trying to, and they're just like, oh, and they're getting, and all they're doing is developing bad habits. So start them off light. If this is too heavy, if they just can't get accuracy, get a smaller one. I bought this. It was like a really cheap set of different sizes. I mean, it started out down to this, and I don't know if I spent more than $10 or $20 on the whole set. They're just cheap made. The little things keep coming out. I don't know if that's show up in there. Anyway, things coming out the end. But it's something to start with. This is something to start with. Work on your hammering technique before you take your first lesson. Otherwise, you're wasting your time and money and the blacksmith teacher's time and money. So just practice. There's a lot of stuff out there for beginning, but just practice your hammer skills first. Just hit a board, but make sure the board is at the right height. Look at every hit for a while to see if you're hitting this way, this way, this way, this way. You want to hit flat. You want it to be a perfectly rounded indention, and get that swing down. Like I said, you want it to come up. Use everything. If you're just using here, you're just using your elbow down, and you're going to wear yourself out. If you grip too hard, you're going to beat your wrist and hand and arm and everything to death. You want it to flop in your hand. Not so much that it flies across the room, hits somebody, but just enough for control. So it goes, it flips, and it flips, and it flips. because that last little, when you come up and you swing down and then you let that, get in the camera, I'm not going high enough, you let that last whip, that gives you that much more power and more energy that's going into your work. So practice, practice, practice. I just realized this whole thing's crooked. Anyway, sorry for my camera quality, but I hope this helps. If it is, subscribe, like, comment, and get out there and make some dents in some wood and drive some nails. Just go buy you a box of hundreds of nails, 1,000 nails, something, and get you some boards, set them up at the right height, not too heavy of a hammer. Watch your hammer strokes, work on your accuracy. Once you start getting it to where you're not hitting at different angles, you can start hitting flat, then try to hit it more accurate, just like I couldn't even hit these nails. I got to work on that, but I got to get my coordination down. I'm not used to using my left arm, so that's going to be a lot of training to use my left arm. So just, you know, keep working on all those things, and then when you get over there and you start hammering on steel, and you'll hit where you wanted to hit. We had some young guys at the blacksmith shop, and I kept telling them, you know, if I have something to use for an example, my soapstone. Let me get over here close. And so I was telling him to hit at an angle like this because I wanted it to be a taper, and he kept hitting it like this. And he was drawing it out, but he just kept hitting it. Instead of tapering it, he just squished it, and it made it a long, flat thing. So he never could get a taper for the longest time until I could finally get him to start hitting it this way. He was getting exasperated. I was getting exasperated because he just didn't have. He was young, but he was big and he was strong, and he didn't have the hammer control. And he was trying to do it. He was trying to come in and hit it like this, but he was hitting it like this, and it just kept messing him up. Even hitting it like this when you don't want to. When you want to hit it like that, you got to be able to hit it, because you'll learn in blacksmithing you're going to use every edge. And there's times you want to hit it off like this. There's times you want it flat. There's times you use a rounding hammer. There's times you use a peen. So you just got to have hammer control, so you can hit it the way you want to hit it, when you want to hit it. And then also work on your accuracy. Hope you have a blessed day. Bye-bye now. Yeah, I decided to do a different route, and got tired of chasing the wood, and the wire kept breaking. So I'm actually trying to hit. You don't want to hit your hammer on an anvil. You don't want a hard face on a hard face. So I've used my hold down, and I've clamped down this piece of mild steel, and I've started hitting on it. But as you can see, I'm still missing some, but I'm hitting here. Occasionally I hit off the thing, which is not good. I'm only using my 1.5 pound hammer. I'm just trying to hit the end here.